Thank you so much, Himangi and Jitesh, for the warm welcome. I am Vagisha Gupta, and along with me is Atul PM. We are the PGDM students at the National Insurance Academy, Pune. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are all set to begin the first panel discussion of the day. The theme for this session is Decode, Rebranding the Insurance Landscape. The panel will be moderated by Mr. G. Srinivasan, Managing Director, CEO, and Key Management Person, Galaxy Health Insurance. Accompanying him, we have our distinguished panelist, Ms. Kiran Yadav, Chief People Officer, Canada HSBC Life Insurance, Ms. Dakshina Bhattacharya, President and CHRO, HDFC Ergo General Insurance Company Limited, Ms. Uma Gogineni, President, Technology Solution Centers and Chief People Officer, Value Momentum, Mr. Vamsidhar Soma, Head HR, Mahindra Insurance Brokers, Mr. Vikramjeet Singh, Senior President and Chief of Human Resources, ILM and Administration, Bajaj Allianz General Insurance India. May I now invite all our esteemed speakers. I request our esteemed speakers to kindly form the dais as we briefly introduce them. I am delighted to first introduce our moderator for the discussion, Mr. G. Srinivasan, Managing Director, CEO, and Key Management Person at Galaxy Health Insurance. Sir brings over 4 decades of experience in the general insurance industry across various regions of India and abroad. In his last assignment, he was the director of National Insurance Academy for more than 4 years, providing leadership to the premier institution, whose objective is to achieve excellence in insurance education, training, research, and consultancy, and to act as a think tank for the policymakers. Prior to that, Sir was the CMD of New India Assurance between 2012 and 2018, and was the CMD of United India Insurance for 5 years between 2007 and 2012. Sir was also MD and CEO of New India Assurance Company Limited, Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean for over 4 years. Sir has been on the boards of many companies as director and chairman both in India and abroad. Sir has held chairmanship of General Insurance Council and General Insurance Public Sector Association. Sir was on the Insurance Advisory Committee of IRDAI. Sir has been on many committees of IRDAI and IFSCA, Gandhinagar. He also served as President of Insurance Institute of India and has been conferred a fellowship by the Institute of Directors.
It is my privilege to introduce our esteemed panelists now. Ms. Kiran Yadav, the Chief People Officer at Canada HSBC Life Insurance, where she leads HR, CSR, and administration with over 26 years of expertise. An alumna of Symbiosis and Bangalore University, she has specialized in labor laws and labor welfare. Her leadership journey spans organizations like PNB MedLife and Aviva Life Insurance. Known for shaping people strategies with depth and vision, she continues to redefine HR excellence in the insurance sector.
Carrying the panel introductions forward, we welcome Ms. Dakshina Bhattacharya, President and CHRO at HDFC Ergo General Insurance Company Limited, and the driving force behind its people and culture practices. With over 2 decades across hospitality, communications, and insurance, She champions equity, well being, and future ready workplaces. A certified PCC coach and ICF member, she is also the co founder of Compassion Circle, a social interactive platform. Recipient of the Impactful HR Leader Award, she truly embodies the philosophy that future is now.
Up next, we have Ms. Uma Gogineni, President of Technology Solution Centers and Chief People Officer at Value Momentum. With 3 decades of IT consulting experience across India and North America, she has built high performing teams that drive innovation across the insurance value chain. An alumna of BITS Pilani and Osmania University, Uma brings a rare blend of technical and leadership expertise. Her career journey spans leading roles at TCS, Satyam Enterprise Solutions, Insurance Technology Services of America, and Wells Fargo Bank. Known for cultivating growth with fun, pride, and fellowship, she continues to shape Value Momentum's culture of excellence.
Our next esteemed speaker is Mr. Vamsidhar Soma, Head of HR at Mahindra Insurance Brokers, a global HR leader with 2 decades of experience. His career spans insurance, IT services, and publishing, with contributions at Cholamandalam MS, TVS Next, Newgen Knowledge Works, Mahindra Holidays, and Virtusa. An expert in digital HR, he has pioneered AI enabled hiring and analytics driven systems. A GPHR and ACC coach with advanced learning from IIM Calcutta, he is passionate about building future ready and people centric organizations.
Joining the dais next is Mr. Vikramjeet Singh, Senior President and CHRO, ILM and Administration at Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. With nearly 25 years of leadership at Deutsche Bank, L&T, Vodafone, and Bajaj Allianz, he has driven enterprise-wide transformations, blending technology with people-centric change. His leadership extends beyond HR to fraud risk mitigation, governance, and operational excellence. Recognized with prestigious awards across India, APAC, and globally, he is celebrated as a visionary who builds resilient and agile organizations. I request my colleagues to formally welcome the dignitaries with a floral bouquet.
I now kindly request Mr. G. Srinivasan to commence the discussion. If time permits, the panel will also take questions from the audience towards the end of the discussion.
Good morning, friends. Extremely glad to meet you all here. We had a fascinating inaugural session. The keynote speaker really spoke from his personal life, and I think gave a lot of life lessons to all of you. I'm sure that this will all come to your rescue, or when you have to take decisions. I think these incidents could really be of great value to all of you. I'm a bit worried that we are making the session a little more serious. It's always very difficult, after a very, very personal and I would call it as a light but life lesson session to go into a subject which is going to be a little more serious. But fortunate, I have very eminent, panelists, and I always say that my job is as a moderator is relatively simple to ask questions. I'm just going through the CV of the panelists. So it gives me jitters to even ask questions. Very eminent, and especially on the subject of HR, on which I claim no expertise. I'm a generalist. A generalist knows everything, doesn't know anything. That's the nature of a generalist. So, friends, this subject is, the job of this panel is to decode. In the morning session, I thought that we should add one more D, that's destiny. Maybe, I don't know whether you have a session for destiny, maybe the alumni could do that. So, our job is to decode, and I think the third panel will have to deliver. I think their job is going to be more difficult. So, friends, India today, is in a very great place. The economy is growing. India will become a 3 trillion economy in the next 6-7 years. Be the third largest economy in a very few years' time. So clearly, the insurance industry will be the biggest beneficiary of this growth. We have seen, going by the history of other nations which have achieved higher insurance penetration density, whenever the per capita income rises, the insurance industry grows in a big way. So India is kind of reaching that takeoff point, and you will see the penetration density levels of India picking up in a very big way maybe in the next 3 to 4 years. And it's a matter of time before we reach global levels. Even the last, 30, 40 years, the industry has been growing at, at a CAGR of more than 15%. So clearly a lot of growth is going to happen in the insurance industry, which means we need a lot of people to run this industry. The second aspect is the complexities of the industry are increasing. Today we are talking of climate risk, cyber risk, pandemics, a lot of uncertainties, a lot of geopolitical uncertainties the industry has to deal with. So the second question is, do we have the right people to navigate the industry? One is, do we have the number of people? The second is, do we have the right people? India has a great talent. We have a lot of engineers, doctors, scientists. Does the industry have the ability to attract these people? Because insurance needs diverse skills, and do they have the ability to retain them? That's probably the third aspect we will deal with. But the challenge is, this is something which I keep saying that troubles me all the time. If you go to a campus, you ask any set of students, what are your career preferences? They have a lot of things. Insurance comes way down in the order of preferences. Sometimes insurance doesn't even come at all in their, So that's a challenge we need to encounter. Added to that is lack of insurance awareness, which also adds to this, because people don't understand the insurance industry. I've heard people saying, if a carrier insurance industry means I should sell policies, I should become an agent. That's the only carrier which is probably known as a carrier in the insurance industry. So which actually, deters youngsters from looking at this industry. They don't know that there are so many carriers, so many job opportunities, types of jobs which are available. So that's the other challenge. And then added to that, the general perception that insurance is a very dull, boring, conservative, traditional. There's an image which is also responsible for people, not to look at this industry. So I think these are the challenges the industry is confronting at this point of time. So clearly there's a need to rebrand the industry, reposition the industry. Of course, the insurance industry needs to be rebranded in many respects, and probably this is one of them, and that's what we would like to discuss as the panel. So clearly, I will go with the questions. Very consciously, I did not discuss with any of you because that makes the session very free flowing and very genuine. So I always never discuss with the panelists on the panel because then that makes it well prepared and rehearsed. So I don't really.
So you already disrupted.
So let me start with Kiran, the first question. So first, let's assess what's currently now. With the kind of growth the industry is experiencing and expecting. What do you think of the current talent ecosystem in the industry? Is it something adequate, or you still feel the industry is working with a lot of talents not being available?
Thank you, sir, for that question. It's a privilege to be here with this panel, especially you, sir, with your tons of experience. We've heard of you, we've seen you, in ASSOCHAM, and absolute pleasure to be here. You already disrupted, the typical format of the conversation because we are prepared. कि यही दो question answer करना है, अभी set है. But so now you will surprise us, and that's great. And with the panel's permission, before I answer your question, sir, I want all of us students, raise your hand and pat the person sitting next to you and say good job. नहीं मारना नहीं है, just pat. Okay? The reason, I'll tell you the reason why we're doing that. Good job. Because I know this is not the whole batch size. Some people are enjoying pohe outside, catching up with their key friends, scrolling Insta. You've made it here. And that's why I said good job done. That's why I said good job done. Sitting on the stage is almost 125 years of experience. Okay? 125 years of experience, and in next 40 minutes, you will get, a nichode of it. You will get the best suggestions that we have for you. So good job by being here. Never ever, first advice I'd like to give to everybody is never let go of an opportunity to hear from a senior, somebody it's not like we are better. It's just that we've lived a life ahead of you and we have our experiences. You can, learn from it. I tell my team all the time, keep watching me. Either you'll know what to do, or at least you will know what not to do. Okay? So good thing done today. And always, like I said, make sure you listen to people and their experiences. I also want to take a moment to thank the faculty at NIA for having an amazing keynote speaker. I think I personally learned so much today, and such a humble person. I think one of the keynote things a leader should do, I believe, is not just show that I'm successful, but also inspire people to be successful. After his speech today, raise your hands. How many of you believe that I can do it too? He had a story which is similar to ours. And, he gave you the comfort that wo kar paaye hain, hum bhi kar payenge. We'll find a way. And that's the biggest hallmark of a leader, not just to be a selfish, success story, but to inspire the people to get there. So thank you to the college administration as well for that. Coming, sir, to your question on the ecosystem in insurance. So insurance, is seen, and maybe it is a slightly traditional industry, difficult to, compete with startups. But over time, slowly, steadily, we have made ourselves as a serious career option for people. Today in insurance, from an ecosystem perspective, I think we are able to attract with colleges such as these, and we have a whole lot in Bombay, in Gurgaon, Noida, Delhi, everywhere. We do have great success with more traditional roles. So we do get people who are great for underwriting, for operations, for HR, for finance even. But I think one of the lags which we haven't covered, and maybe we haven't come and showcased ourselves, is digital, AI, predictive analysis. Those are some of the things that we believe we could have done better, and that's where the future is. So I would encourage, and I would say that don't just limit ourselves to the insurance being a fuddy-duddy, boring industry. We are also trying to get very cutting edge and make sure that we are able to compete with bigger organizations, in the sector or other industries to get the best talent. But as talent, and which is you, each one of you sitting here as a talent, you need to make sure that not just your core work and core curriculum you understand, but you understand what's happening. As we know, disruption is what is happening every day. To pick up skills which are beyond your course curriculum, especially in technology, because that is going to be a differentiator. And every day we see some kind of a disruption. So if you want to be a market leader in disruption, you need to encourage opportunities, and we're trying to do that as companies. I'm sure my colleagues will also share that. We're trying to see where we can get more innovation, growth labs, get more ideas and be more competitive to get the best talent. So that's where insurance right now is at the cusp of becoming more lighter and more digitized.
Thank you, Kiran. I think I will continue the same question with Sulakshana. But I mean, you come from a general insurance industry where the need for some of the specialized skills are very, very high. You need a lot of engineers, a lot of legal, you need a lot of doctors who have a large health portfolio as well. So how do you think that you have the right set of talent now to run the company?
So I'll start by thanking NIA for inviting me for this. It's always a pleasure. This is my annual trip to Pune, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And also my colleagues who've traveled with me. And also a big thank you to all of you in the audience for having chosen to be here. I'm sure there would have been 10,000 distractions, but you chose to give us time, not because we have anything better than you to add, but I'm grateful personally that you're becoming my audience. Great to be in this panel, and thank you so much. So the question is, where are we today in the insurance sector's talent? I think we've never been as well positioned in terms of talent as we are today. This industry has had more than 2 decades of successful completion of cycles, if I may say. This is also an industry which has shown its might and strength during COVID by settling almost 17,000 crores of death claims, health claims, and about 20,000 crores of death claims. Why is it important for all of you sitting here? For you to know this is an industry which has the width, scale, and the depth to absorb new talent. This is one of the industries at least in our country, which has the brightest path of growth. Like Mr. Mantri said, that we are at a wonderful situation because we have less than 1% penetration across the country for this industry, and it's only going to grow. And if we are truly moving from a savings economy to expense economy, and if we have anything to go by the lessons that COVID has treated us, we're very hopeful that a large percentage of that expense of the consumers, the share of wallet, will come to insurance. This is the context in which I would like to say that. And why is it important from a talent perspective? One industry which has the breadth of talent from frontline sales to cutting edge technology. Tell me, which other industry today collaborates with the Googles and the Metas of the world to bring in collaborative platforms in technology to make consumers' journeys more delightful, simpler? We give examples of the Zomatos and the Swiggies of the world. That's happened. What has not happened is buying and servicing insurance in minutes. And all of you sitting here and everybody else who's in that situation to start a career, what else could be as exciting as this? And also, the frontline sales jobs has never been more attractive because it's now driven by technology. It's now driven by we are talking about making, and I'm sure some of the organizations would have already made it to have a mobile office. You don't need a laptop, you don't need a physical office, one just needs a mobile. And how exciting is that? And also, what kind of products are one selling? Where is the consumer awareness about health products or other insurance products? I leave the life insurance to the experts Some of my ex-colleagues are here who are experts in the life insurance. I'll leave it to them. But look at health. And like you said, sir, about specialized roles, underwriters. Um, how exciting is it today that a large part of underwriting is simplified because of technology? So one gets to protect the better part of that specialized role and leave aside the boring and the operational part. So to summarize, I think, and thank you for asking this question, because it's important that we position our industry correctly um, in every space and every possible way that we can. Because I personally feel that our industry has been underserved as far as being positioned as a leader across the country. So this is really our time. So to summarize, this is a great opportunity for young talents to be in this industry. This industry has the money to invest in technology, has the depth of cash to sustain turbulent business times, and has the appetite to absorb young minds and young talents because it's at the cusp of tremendous growth. So that's where we really are.
Thank you. And so, we all feel, the insurers feel that, it's the right place for all the students to come. The question, Omar, to you is, do the students feel that way? Because, I can relate it among my own circle of friends, relatives, for the people who are here already bought by insurance in the sector. The others, the concern for me is the best talent thinking of insurance, or of course it's thinking of going to US or doing some other, or even in India going to engineering and some other avenues. Because we are saying that the insurance sector will be double the size in the next 5 years. Obviously, we need at least 1.75, if not 2, in current strength. So how do we convince these youngsters?
Good morning, all. First of all, we said thanks a lot.
I consider you as part of the insurance industry.
I was about to start with that, sir. And it's really great meeting Mr. Srinivasan. I've been in the technology sector. I've been hearing a lot about him, particularly because IRDA is literally our next door neighbor in Hyderabad. We've had the good fortune of recruiting a lot of people from NIA, both directly from the campus over the last 2 years, and a lot of lateral, people who graduated from NIA a few years ago and joined us from different industries. And as Mr. Srinivasan said, I'm also acutely conscious of the fact that I'm a bit of an odd person out on this panel. I'm not an insurance company. We do not run an insurance company, but we run a software products and services company that is exclusively focused on general insurance. For the last 20 odd years, we've been servicing Indian, Asian, as well as global insurers. We provide a lot of technology services. And as Mr. Srinivasan said, forget about outside, even our own kids, when you ask them, being exposed to insurance all along, particularly if they want to get into technology, I think the first choice is probably going into gaming, probably not now, but a few years ago, as well as probably retail, entertainment, media. Insurance definitely does not appear in that list of priorities.
My children refused.
So we have been consciously trying to do is actually tell people what insurance is. We primarily go to engineering colleges to recruit. We come to MBA colleges that specialize in insurance, NIA being one of them. Prior to NIA, we were also recruiting people who provide insurance, MBA with specialization in insurance in the NCR region. But for the technology students, our pitch has always been that this is one of the industries where you really get to work in really bleeding edge technologies. It's not something new. We've always worked on, deep analytics, as well as a lot of technology aspects like digital twins, blockchain. These are all things that are embedded into our solutions. And this is something that actually helps societies recover from a loss. In fact, some of the videos that we show are actually where insurers have gone and have traced the path of a flood that is projected, identify residences that are insured with the insurer in that area, and proactively reach out to them to actually give them some money to start off their recovery with even before they raise their claim. Now, if that is a solution that we can power with our technology, that's really a powerful thing that really resonates with a lot of students. So essentially what we say is, this is what really encourages you to grow. Encourage courage to take risks. Help you basically at times you need, because we want you all to try innovative things. It's also possible that they'll fail. And when you do that, you're not really hitting your rock bottom. We are there to cover you, support you, to make you stand up again. That resonates. And one of the things I think Sudakshina mentioned is, let the exciting things be done by technology. There are very few boring things left. In fact, we take the opposite with Sudakshina. All the routine things will be taken care of by technology. All the expertise needs to be with you all. Basically things that really, really need human judgment, expertise. That's something that we want to leave out, and leave out all the routine transactions, things that can actually be automated by engineering your knowledge, your expertise, and using that to build the solutions is something that we do. And to that extent, sir, we are conscious of the fact that talent pool is not available. So what we are doing is creating the talent. We are trying to create a talent ecosystem through collaborations with insurers to build the curriculum that the industry needs today, both in terms of technology as well as the kind of emerging things, right? Cyber risk is an emerging risk. Not many of us really know about it, and probably the underwriters themselves need a lot of knowledge in that. So working with the academies to create those kind of courses, as well as probably conducting hackathons and all to see how problems can be solved, and how advent of things like generative AI will really change our job day to day, and how is it that human expertise still becomes a very, very critical aspect going forward. So I think all of us need to focus on creating the talent pool that will address the needs of tomorrow, and make sure that we're all prepared when that tomorrow is here.
Thank you. And I was initially worried that you will say there's no need for people, technology will do everything. Good to hear that people are still needed. Sridhar, I just come to you, as somebody who has spent a lot of years in the insurance space, both in the production as well as distribution. I asked the same question. How do we attract people to the insurance sector?
Am I audible? Yeah. So I think first of all, I'm grateful for the opportunity provided by the NIA, and also to be part of such an eminent panel members led by you, sir. See, my experience has been mixed. I'll have to be fair. Especially, when we are doing campus, this is the campus season. That's also. Some segments of insurance jobs have been very attractive, right? So if I have to call out, reinsurance is one area where people are very attractive. Anything to do with advisory business, people are very attractive. Anything to do with business analysis. So there are some segments which are very attractive and which are very welcome. That resonates when we meet people, younger people in the campus. It resonates when we try to post jobs through LinkedIn, the number of applications versus the effort that we need to take or the cost that we need to fulfill, right? Still, certain segments of the jobs are challenging. It is continues to remain attractive. If I have to say, anything if we say sales, right? Or if we say retail sales, that continues to remain not as the top of the priority for either the experienced people who are trying to decide between industries or even the fresh campus graduates to choose. Okay. But it has changed. I can definitely see, I think, I've at least been associated with campuses for now 7-8 years as a production company, as an intermediary. The willingness is more, okay, but I would see the landscape is much more available for the industry when I'm able to see the number of institutions and colleges are increasing providing such specializations. I only related to IT boom. I mean, since I started my career with IT, there was a lot of demand for IT people, IT students. So there was a demand, and it was backed up with supply of number of institutions and colleges which started supplying, okay, specialized courses that could cater the need. Today, I feel there is a demand, okay, but the supply is still intermittent. Some segments we are able to fulfill it. Some segments still feel is very unorganized, especially the entry level segments. It is still unorganized, and at Mahindra Insurance Brokers we try to penetrate more into tier 2 and tier 3 areas. Getting talent there is still a challenge. Okay. Because the traditional thinking of insurance job means it is an agent, right? So that's still there, but I feel over the period of years there is changing, and the job profile also has changed, right? So I've spoken to some of the people where they said nowadays they don't sell insurance, they sell, okay, a technology solution through which an insurance can be done. So that's why when ma'am said she's an outsider, I said I didn't agree to it, right? She's as much core to the insurance industry as any of us or all of us here. So technology is playing a larger part. Some segments of the jobs in the insurance industry are becoming attractive more and more, but there are certain segments there I still feel there is a supply demand and the quality can be improved. So that's my observation so far.
Yeah. So, Vikram, I'm just continuing with the same theme. See, what I'm concerned is the industry is growing. I mean, today, I know all of you, all of us, I say you, all of us, we take people from the normal campuses. I mean, NAA is one of the rare campuses where you get insurance people. And then you try to, train them. And then I also seen, people come into the insurance sector as a stopgap arrangement and then leave and they get a better opportunity. So I have myself spoken to a few of the big institutions, educational institutions. Tell them, why do you have a normal MBA where the students are not even getting placed? Many of the schools. So why don't you have insurance? Insurance needs a lot of people. But I see a lot of reluctance because they say students don't understand insurance. So I have not been so far successful. Because one thing is, we can definitely take people from the normal campuses, but we need specialized campuses like NAA and others more and more as the industry grows, which basically means that we need to convince the students to join those courses. So it's a question of chicken and egg kind of a situation. So how do we solve this puzzle?
First of all, thanks for that question. It's a difficult one to answer because for a long time a lot of people want to decipher the crack code of this, but having worked in different industries altogether, actually at least 4 of them, one experience I've had, and which is a very truthful one, is everybody follows a growing sun. And the same thing actually happens in the industry growth. While a lot of times insurance was always told as a sunrise industry, telecom came very similar times. Insurance grew by around 10% on an average by an industry. Certain years the blip was up and down, which was there. Telecom grew by 40-50%. Now that's a very simple thing. If something is growing that fast, which is then the e-commerce in between, and now obviously fintechs to other part of solving the supply chain problem where we have all of these others coming in, you automatically will have deeper pockets to pay even more, and the talent automatically sees that story of growing faster with more money on a practical side, because you're just entering your career and you make a choice basis what you see around yourself, and you take a college course which typically would help you to become that. The good part in the insurance which is coming is, and maybe that talk is happening, is with growing affluence, which is bound to happen by the growth rate. However, frankly, at 7.5% growth rate also, nothing doubles in 5 years still. For a doubling, you need at least the industry to grow by 12%. Individual companies, yes, people, the companies which may be higher growth may double. But as an industry, it may be still. So, which means that as an organization and as a government, your initial courses right now are more attracted or they capture is more lending sides, which is part of banking in a certain way than insurance. So, your banking fundamentals get a little more waved in, paved in the courses from the school to the even the graduation sites which are there. Having said, the good part is in the last 3-4 years there have been certain institutes which have started to take up a separate course. The only issue even with the colleges is, would that kind of a demand be, which they create a supply will be matched by a demand which the organization will take. Now the growth of the talent in the insurance industry uh, is also not that high because of the productivity is increase, which means if a sector grows by around 10%, the manpower grows by around 7 or 7.5. Now the sector doesn't have a minimum numbers in that ways which were very high already, so that even that 7 becomes big, like a FMCG or something which were there for a very long time. Which means that what will need to happen is there will be certain studies and credits which we will need to push even with colleges, which we had started as an organization around 6 years back, was to lead a program where with 8 or 9 colleges other than pure insurance colleges, where we help them set up the insurance related program which was over and above credits, where the first right of refusals come into the insurance sector, not only to us. The good part is even with those MBAs or with those graduations which they have, those extra credits at least to build the basic understanding of how insurance, and typically within general insurance, at least certain perceptions of certain lines like Vamsi also touch and others also. It becomes difficult to just get a person generic and get them running into certain specific domains. So that addition will help India to position it rightly. So it's a partnership between the course at the schooling to the college to how the industry grows. If the affluence increases faster, which ideally should happen in case the economy also sees both the manufacturing and the services growth both, and the recent things on the GST, if the consumptions patterns do continue to go, we will have the asset creations happening. If the asset creations are there, insurance is bound to be a part of that value chain, where you obviously have all of the people sitting here having a lot of large roles. Now what is more important also is, like you said, a lot of people come in and go. We saw that in 2018 this was as high as 50% of what you take from a generic perspective. In the recent last 2-3 years, these numbers have gone down to less than actually 20, which means that the insurance industry has started to offer a lot of right value propositions for people joining this industry. And I think so it's a good golden era which a lot of people sitting here will really enjoy coming in into insurance. The only thing is to be open, like what Sanjeev also touched upon, Sanjeev Mantri also touched upon, was that be open to any of the roles which is there, and then you can really enjoy what an insurance sector can happen. Malab, you can actually build your career in terms of insurance on a diversified knowledge of risk modeling to distributions to in terms of how do you use technology in a ever pervasive way in that way. And then I think so the talent is bound to increase. And I would rather say with the technology, you will have more talent coming in from the other industries also, because the basic part of somewhere it got touched also, the judgment and the rule part of it. The rule part, a lot of part the technology plays. The judgment is where you start to play that. However, judgment also comes by the experience of rules. So that's the other fallacy of a chicken and egg. So, but if people really invest their time, I think so we can have even talent which may start coming in the industry and compete even faster. But as you rightly said, it's a chicken and egg, depending on a lot of parameters actually in that way.
So, Kiran, just exploring this further, because to me, this is the biggest issue. I mean, whether we accept it or not, we can be in self-denial. The insurance industry, insurance carrier actually pays very well. You pay a lot of amount to these 2 years compared to others. And then the growth is phenomenal. I don't think there's any other industry, I don't know about banking, where in 5 years' time, the kind of salary you get, the kind of levels, I mean, you heard somebody becoming vice president in 7, 8 years' time. Doesn't happen in, but still, most of the people end up in insurance accidentally, as perhaps I did 40 years back, 43 years back. So they seems to be very few people consciously take this call. So, what as an industry we should do? I mean, see, one thing is insurance is not understood. Insurance is not part of any school curriculum, and we have also not done anything on this. Do you think the insurance industry should really, not just depending on the government, should do something to really promote insurance at the school level so people understand insurance and choose it as a career?
Thank you, sir. Wonderful question there. And yes, we are all as older people in the sector are to blame, because one single mistake I believe as insurance people we have made is that we only hired from insurance, continuously. And one of the reasons why that, the growth that you're talking about, the money that you're talking about, as an insurance industry, if I may use the word, we were very incestuous. We just wanted people, who hit the ground running. Before the car hits the tar, car should be at 100 kilometer per hour. So for that, what we did is we didn't spend time in grooming people. We didn't spend time spreading our wings and talking about the sector to larger campuses, going in, trying to invest in people who don't understand insurance, but we can groom them. We spent time in only hiring from each other. So 20 companies hiring from each other, giving promotions and, giving money because it was convenient to us at that point of time. That I think is something that, as a veteran of the industry myself, Sunrise, he mentioned, I joined at sunrise time. And now if we don't do enough, we may just get into sunset very quickly. So, that's one thing that we are dependent on colleges like this, which is great that they already come very trained, but there are handful. For 20 companies, it's not enough. The supply chain issue is there. There are 8, maybe 7 colleges in India who cater to pure insurance. That's not enough to, cater to the entire industry landscape. But we end up, like I said, hiring from each other. So I think one thing that we need to do as an industry is spread our wings, become a little lighter. We are, little heavy based that way in terms of taking ourselves very seriously. Usage of social media has not been very, again, because the industry is very regulated. So maybe, we were conscious because of that as well. But we didn't use social media adequately as an industry. We didn't spread our wings to, B and C cities, more campuses, grooming more people, spending more time in learning and development and training. But we took more shortcuts in just focusing on, this job, you come and do this for me kind of thing. So can we make that better? Yes, I think, as an industry, we should step up to one, make sure that, kids like, here they're already trained. We hire, groom, but also at the same time, bring in more diversity and get other people, in the industry as well. I think that's when it will be more, open, talk more about our, I think like Sudakshana also said, where are you getting the chance to change, your personal lives? Where are you getting the chance to really impact households? This is a career that, in a way, it's God's work, guys. And I love to say that, in a way, it's God's work that we are doing, because while people buy things for themselves in their lifetime, in life insurance, you're doing something for the family later on. So it's really God's work that way. And yes, we can, do a lot more. So I really want to congratulate all of you. It's a good career choice that you have made, either by choice or if you accidentally fell into this, doesn't matter. Do well, because one of the biggest thing is that government is focusing on insurance. If their mandate is by 2047 insurance for all, and we are below 3-4% in penetration, which means the world is out there, the government will enable us, everybody will put in their might to make this happen. So you are at the right career. Don't get distracted. Just groom yourselves so that you join the right places and are able to take your careers forward. And yes, promotions can happen. You can become a vice president in 8 years. It's possible. But you just have to be very smart and very hardworking. So don't focus just if I have to say one thing, don't just focus. It's very tempting to look at campus pe package kitna mila hai. Focus on who's giving you a good learning career, great opportunity. What company's culture is. Do they encourage internal promotions, internal transfer? Do they groom internally? So for example, I can say with pride that 80% of my senior management team is internal grown. I am one of the youngest people, not age wise, but tenure wise in my company, and I have spent 10 years. So at 10 years, I'm the youngest management person. Everybody else has more experience than me in the company, not age wise again. So the entire management team has 12, 13, 14 years. So, and they've all grown internally. So with pride, we say that if you do well, but of course, that means that don't get carried away by 2, 3 things. One, money, because 2-3 साल बाद सब आगे पीछे बराबर हो जाता है. So don't get tempted first with that. Second, don't get obsessed with promotions. Let me tell you one thing, and I hope my colleagues agree. At the end of 20 years, when there is only 1 or 2 positions at the top, the person who has a higher chance of winning is not someone who's had a career straight up like that, is somebody who's had a zigzag career. What I'm trying to say is more exposure, more roles is what you should gun for if you want to reach the top. Sometimes we get very obsessed with promotions. Is saal nahi hua, hum company chhod dete hain. Somebody else will take me. Don't go there, because vertical growth is good, but horizontal growth is what will give you the top job. So make sure that you grab opportunities, you look for projects, you look for partnership, you look for collaboration. You make yourself as a person in the company who's not just good at his or her job, but also can be used for so many other things. Other teams should want to work with you, other teams should want to hire you. Now that is what's going to make you great, not being good at one subject. So sir, journalist, journal experience is very good. Specialist will get you to X level. Journal experience over years, horizontal moving, doing different things, will take you to the topmost job. So, in fact, one of the panels, I happened to speak to a colleague of mine and, HR counterpart of mine. He's, I think you'll be meeting him in the next panel. So he and I were colleagues. I was in HR. He was in sales in my first company. He moved to risk in his second company. And today he's, head of HR. So the point I'm trying to make is when you come with 4 to 5 experiences, you are much more sharper. You have a better worldview, better perspective, and you can contribute better to the organization. So my advice to everybody, would be that, don't get tempted with smaller things. Look at the bigger picture and invest in yourself. Do a lot of training programs. Listen to senior people speak about their experiences. Move zigzag, grab your hand, put your hand up for every new project, and don't say no for anything. Just keep doing different things, new things, and trust me, that's the way you'll reach the top.
Thank you. So I'm just reminded of an incident when I was here director of the National Insurance Academy. One of the students asked me how long it will take to become a senior, not vice president. I said 15 years. He said, will it take so much time? So that's the, thinking of,
You can make it earlier by opening your own company.
So just, one of the things, 2 things you said, I just would like to take into Sudakshina. One is, this is one of those careers where, you really do a social service. I have always enjoyed insurance because I have worked at the ground level for quite some time. You settle a personal accident claim, somebody loses life, you give them 5 lakhs, the family, is able to lead a normal life. So this is something which always gave me a lot of satisfaction. While I have covered cattle and buffaloes, I also covered Reliance Refinery. But what gave me satisfaction was this. You help a small family. So today, I always felt that today's youngsters just don't want to be, work in a company which makes profits, declares dividends, has better valuation, which works in the interest of the society. So insurance is one such way. So has the industry failed to take that message to the student? That's one. Second is, how do we use the social media to connect the current generation?
Okay, so I'll answer it in two parts. The question is in two parts. First one about how do we make sure that have we failed to communicate the purpose of the in the industry? I would like to say that the purpose of the industry has become visible over a period of time, and this is a strong point as far as I'm concerned, which can connect with the younger generation. Some of you are sitting here with you, because I understand that almost 70% of the Gen Z population wants to find what is the purpose of the organization before making the choice to join an organization. And if us being a part of the insurance industry, I think it is it's quite evident that though the company is in the business of selling insurance, but the impact of doing so is to take care of the financial well-being of people. Also, interestingly, the next wave of growth for insurance is also going to come from what is called the missing middle. And that is a big opportunity in India, especially, and a big population of India, which thus far has not been connected through insurance, especially health in general. And that kind of an initiative by the company through products and services will ensure that as an organization, we take care of the financial well-being of that big population. I think the population is about 40 crores plus in India. It's a huge area of impact. So that's to us as purpose. Did we communicate it as much to everyone? I think as an industry, we've shied away from talking a lot of these hidden gems that the industry has, and purpose being one of them. Does it require to be communicated? Of course. But as a well-aware generation that all of you are, I'm assuming that you would know the impact that this industry can have or is having in general on the society. Also, I remember I worked with one of the leading life insurance companies about a decade ago, and that company at that point of time was creating talent pipeline by offering second careers to people who worked in the Army, Air Force, and Navy. And I'm certain that that trend continues, and that Peter has, if not the same company, but other companies that have picked up. The reason I'm saying it is that when people feel that their careers are over, it's been the insurance companies who's given them second careers. And a lot of such people have made meaningful, successful careers thereafter. So purpose is also sometimes what we want to see. It's like collecting the aura points. So when you are awarding aura points to organizations, purpose definitely is one of them. And I'm assuming that as astute as you are as young budding professionals, you would be able to figure that about this industry and the organizations who work in the industry. Now, the second part was social media. I think we've taken a big step as an industry, as a council, sir, to launch the campaign of Acha Ke Insurance Liya. Now, the Acha Ke Insurance Liya campaign is extremely well timed and impactful, because a communication is going to the consumers at large about why it is important to invest in insurance as a share of wallet. Now, what could possibly happen after this? If this has happened for the consumers, chances are that all of us sitting here and the ones who are not, but lead insurance companies, will make sure that there are campaigns that run about the other aspects, which appeals to talent, which appeals to other sectors of society, not just consumers. Some of us as organizations have already created frameworks and infrastructure to make sure that the communities are aligned to what insurance industry can do. While I don't want to make a big mention of it, but I think we've taken small steps at HDFC Ergo by creating an academy for communities, where our objective is to provide employment within insurance industry to the youths of India in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns. And there are many such things. Now, why? And why? And of course, and you asked about social media, so let me stick to that. So yes, with as a follow through to Achakya Insurance here, I think each of our companies have, at least I can speak for HDFC Ergo. I think we've gone back and re-looked at how we communicate on social media, and there are big steps being taken on that. But it's just not social media. I think this generation consumes content beyond just social media. Something like this, what we're doing as a collaborative effort with NIA, is also a part of that impact initiative that the industry can continue to do. But I can only say, sitting here, that this is my second stint in the insurance industry, and I haven't been happier. And like Vikramjit mentioned, I also started my career with telecom. I have seen telecom, I've worked with services, hospitality, but this industry has such promise, and it's such a rewarding career. It meets all my purpose of being human, trying to be human, and creating an impact in the larger society. So that's a personal statement that I can tell you.
Thank you. And so this is a question I would like to ask every one of you, starting from Uma. What is your campus recruitment strategy? Something students also would like to know. I know you will recruit a lot of students from NIA. Apart from that, what else is your strategy?
In terms of what we've been doing for the last few years, about 20% of our workforce comes from different campuses. But as I think everybody mentioned here, insurance, particularly insurance technologies, when we go to recruit technology folks, insurance is not their first failure. And since we also believe, or we've been hearing constantly, that Gen Z is focused a lot on purpose of the organization that they're choosing to work with, we've actually been doing a lot of, in fact, our own recruitment message, the value proposition that we give to our, as an employer, to our associates, is primarily that you get to work on the latest technologies, and also, basically contribute to your purpose of creating, sustainable societies, flourishing societies, by enabling people to take risks. That's the message that we say. In fact, our tagline is, let's ensure the future together. We are not just ensuring the future of the society, the people who take those risks ensure their assets, but we are also ensuring our own future as employees of the company by ensuring that we get to work on the latest and the greatest technologies. And we also move away from this notion of insurance being a legacy sector by actually telling them about all the, kind of cool things that people will be working on. In fact, one of the things I asked with one of the new batch that we recruit, would you like to actually probably deliver wine in 10 minutes when your friends drop over, or really serve people in need when they're really hit by a flood or a forest fire or a catastrophe? And we talk a lot about those imagery. And the other thing that we also do helps, basically, at least people get the attention of people, and afterwards we do our work, in terms of the opportunities that we give, in terms of the career growth that we can promise. But some of the things that we've seen really attract students is when we get, people who joined a year ago or 2 years ago speak about the kind of opportunities that they've had. Probably some from their own college, and others who talk about it. And as Sudakshana mentioned, being in places where students are, maybe Instagram. Looks like several of the social media has already become uncool for this generation. So we look at Instagram, we create some opportunities for us to have a non-recruitment oriented interaction by organizing hackathons, some thought leadership kind of webinars where either our own experts talk, or they can be actually joint kind of events that is organized along with alumni, students of multiple colleges. We do this aggregate kind of events where we help them understand what insurance is all about and what insurance technology is all about, and how they'll be contributing to the growth of a society. Those are the various things that we've been doing in terms of making insurance at least a career of choice.
So Vamsi, I come to you. What is in the minds of every one of them here? I think I'm sure all the other students. Life insurance, general insurance. What should I choose? Broking, insurance company, cyber liability, reinsurance. So how do you, how do you brand yourself? Because they are also, just as you are selecting them, they are also selecting you.
I mean, it's a tough job. I mean, it's tough season, I would say, right? But to answer, I mean, first thing, how do we attract is, while we definitely talk about the first thing attracts is the package, right? I think it goes without saying. I mean, while what makes them come to the pre-placement talk is the package. Let's be very clear about it, right? The second is the brand. I mean, brand definitely makes, right? I mean, uh, while industry legacy might not be there, the company legacies, the group legacies, I think that definitely attracts that second thing which is there. And third thing that we have been trying to do is, I think, since we have been recruiting people over a period of time, uh, our current employees are the brand ambassadors, right? And I think what we have been ensuring is, I think, we make those people front end the campus hiring process itself, okay, where they will be part of the group discussions, they will be part of the pre-placement talk, they will be, I mean, no matter, I think, whatever communication we give, the students take with a bit of inhibition that comes, right? But after the pre-placement talk, the small group conversations which happens, right? That's where it creates an impact. And we having our current employees or the alumni being part of the process, that has created a lot of impact as well. And with respect to the choices, right? I think four things that we keep trying to highlight. One is, I mean, growth. There is so much under penetration that there is a possibility of growth as an industry as well. Second, like the way I think Sudakshana spoke about, is the purpose. Okay, this is a job where you can earn and also make a difference. Third is the variety of opportunities which are there. I mean, you can work in GI, you can work in LI, you can work in Sahi companies, you can work in insurance broking. Now there are tech companies, right, where there are options, and this is only the companies. Within the companies, there are so much functions and opportunities. So when we give so much of varieties, I think that gives. And finally, which we also talk about, is this job is about specialization. It is a professional job where you specialize, right? At least to certain point, you specialize and then grow to be a generalist, right? But so what I believe is these four things that we keep repeat: growth, okay, purpose, variety, and specialization. And uh, along with this, all the softer aspects that we try to do about engaging with the universities, with the colleges, along with the alumni. I think the whole mix of it, I mean, to be frank, I mean, we haven't figured out the secret sauce yet, but I think we are getting it closer. The problem is, by the time we figure out a secret sauce, the taste buds changes. So I think it's a continuous process with that we keep trying to evolve.
Yeah. So this generalist was a specialist. A couple of years back when I was in the academy, one of the CEOs of a private general insurance company reached out to me. He said, "We have fire experts, we have marine experts, liability experts, but we have no leader to take over as COO or CEO." I think this is really a challenge, because too much specialization, well, specialization is important, too much specialization also, I think companies need to know how to convert them into leaders. So Vikram, the question to you is, about branding your organization. I remember an anecdote about Bajaj a couple of years back. A lot of MA students were placed, and then when they got their roles as agency management, retail selling, all of them were running helter and skelter to say, no, we don't want this, how do we change this? So I think there is, I think the branding of not only the company, also the exact career seems to be very important for current students. So how do you handle that? Because you need people to sell retail insurance, and that's a major part of the insurance industry.
Yes, and especially when the distribution amounts to around 70% of the total workforce in a certain way. And different companies may have figures up and down, if I were to say. See, what we have done for the last 2 years now, and we have tried to build upon one, our intake of freshers, which is trainees, to the total what we hire in a year is as high as more than 10%. Now, which means that you're building up for certain roles and other things where people get rotated through. That is one side. The second, what we have done is we hire only with interns. That's a big change in the strategy, what we do, and I can see a lot of faces sitting here. We've had 18 PPOs this time, which is the highest actually, which from the the core belief actually has been like if what FMCG used to do or a beverage company was, you will only come to know about a product is by tasting it. And that's the reason you will see whenever there is a new product or something like that, even in any new cold drink or a new FMCG product or even a Kellogg's or anything, they help you taste the product at multiple. What we said is our thing is our value proposition, employee value proposition has been live ambition, breathe care, which is around what you can do and what do you feel about the organization. And it is not only about the students, it is equally about the hiring managers, which means that there is a marriage which is happening. It's more than a contract which is getting signed in terms of employment. It is from both the sides to feel that are they getting into a right role? Are they getting into a right organization? Are they seeing opportunities for themselves? Equally, is the hiring manager actually seeing a spark in the people who are actually doing? So our internship hiring has been extremely high in the last 2-3 years, which has crossed 500 to 1,000 actually. In that, it's a company in itself to be run. And once both the sides actually agree, it's a win-win subsequently to that. To answer to your question, because then it is like signing of something which both the sides know and they would want to enjoy in a certain way, rather than actually having a divorce coming in very very fast. While some of the times even the divorce is celebrated when people move around from one vertical to another, because that's another thing in organization to solve for. It is easier said and done as HR people that mobility is extremely good. A lot of times people take mobility internally as attrition in a certain way, and I'm talking about across industries, which is there. How do you build that kind of a appetite where people give but equally get credit of it and equally get credit to absorb something else? So there's a career for people who are stepping in. This big change is going to actually change the way decisions are made, and I think so Uma also spelled it out. A lot of times it is about the people sitting right now on the other side of this platform is you to make a decision equally along with hiring manager. It's not about a HR person to make a decision or somebody to take a call in just half an hour in a certain way. It is about a very measured, evaluated call which will help people to really do well in their careers wherever they are going. So I'll take a pause at that.
Can I add that, I mean, the desired competency profile in any organization, technology or specific industries, is moving from when we started our careers, it was a team, right? You had one expertise really in depth, and you generally focused on getting broader knowledge of what other functions do. But the desired competency profile today is actually becoming like a comb, where you need to have multiple expertise along with the broader knowledge. So, as he said, if you're running to him basically saying, I don't want to do retail sales, what you need to look for in the organization is where it provides opportunities for you to really specialize in other things also. Wherever you start, as long as you have that opportunity, I think that's a great organization to start with. Don't just think this is the only thing that I'll work on and I don't need anything else. Because, as he said, you may have cyber expertise or let's say liability, commercial property expertise. But when it comes to actually getting to the top of the organization, you need a lot of this expertise in equal quantities to be able to lead an organization. All those are important functions in the organization. So T versus comb is what you need to remember when you evaluate an organization.
So this will be the last question, seeing the time, and maybe a couple of questions to students to ask. I would request you to answer very briefly so that we'll have a couple of minutes. One is, this is something which again is a matter of concern. Does the insurance industry spend enough money on training and education? Because I have spoken to some of my colleagues who said, if I spend money on training, the person goes away to some other company. So I would rather pick up somebody from the market who is very good. I think that is No, that may be good from that company's perspective, but that's not good from an industry perspective. So what's your view? Because I somehow feel the companies are not spending adequate money on training, insurance, education. Generally, because that is also what today the employees expect. They want to be well trained, so they become a well-rounded person. Each one.
Very short answer from me. One, you're right, and I mentioned this earlier as well, that companies, it's true, have traditionally not been investing enough. We typically end up going outside and hiring talent, then investing so much in technical trainings and learnings and grooming people better. That's changing now. I think we have realized our mistake and we are grooming more. But my answer to that question would be, honestly, companies will do what they need to do, but it's each person's responsibility. So that's what I want to say, and I'm thanking you for that question. So I want to say that because I see this in companies very often. People understand there's a need for learning, they understand they need to know something, but they're waiting for the company or manager to nominate them and do it for them. Please take your learning in your own hand, guys. Everything, one, it's available cheap today. Second, it's available free, probably. Everything is available out there. Take your learning in your own hands. Do not wait for your managers or HR or company to do something for you. We will do it in our time, but learning is your core responsibility, because your career is your core responsibility. You want to do well, you have to take charge of a career. Do not wait for company policies. Invest in yourself. Like I said, it's all available very easily. So just make sure that you understand your core area and areas on the periphery, and invest yourself in your learnings. It's not about the money, it's about the time, right? It's all available very cheaply today. There are tons and tons of things, and you can get the best courses at the cheapest prices. Most top universities, if you go and look at them, they are offering free courses. So you can go to a Stanford, Harvard, they're all giving free courses. So it's cheap, but what's not cheap is your time. Your time, you have to decide where you're investing. So I really, really urge each one of you sitting here, pick up courses which are beyond your technical area, and make learning your key parameter for yourself. Invest little time in that. Scrolling social media will only make you to do shopping for things you don't need. Okay, invest that time in your learning. It will make you sharper, better, and having conversations. One test I want all of you to look at, and I say this when I meet young people, is that every month, quarterly, whatever, give yourself the elevator test. I don't know, do we know the elevator test? We know the elevator test? Okay. So if, for example, you have a dream to open a company, or if, for example, you meet the crush of your life and you have to tell her today that how much you like the person, and the person is going in an elevator, you've got 15 seconds to say what you need to say, right? That's the elevator pitch. It could be anything, opening a new.
Having said that, the companies who invest, they're also investing in people who eventually contribute in the industry. May not be in their immediate organization, but like somebody said earlier in the conversation, that we've not, as an industry, we've not really grown the pie, and we've concentrated on taking talent from one company to the other, and which is true. And if that's the truth, then the fact that some companies invested in grooming their talent means they have contributed to the industry. But that's right, because like Vikramjit was mentioning, that till some time ago, the highest common factor of attrition was about 50%, especially in the distribution setup, and most of our organizations are high on distribution setup. So in that space, how can the company really take a decision to invest? But my experience has been that most companies do, and also taking a cue from what Kiran said, a lot of times, if we want to be invested in, we have to also earn it. And I think vintage and loyalty to the organization are two primary, it could be like key levers on basis which some of these things happen. I'm sure, like HDFC Ogo, there are many other organizations who invest in their people development and especially leadership development. So I would think that the companies who have to invest do. Is it enough? Maybe not. Can it be more? Certainly, like any other thing. Yeah, so that's where I would leave it.
Just brief comments from other
Yeah.
panelists,
So
yeah.
I'll really be brief. I would rather train and see my people leave and take better roles in other organizations than not train and actually have them continue with the organization, because it's actually reducing the IQ of the organization.
Right, I think definitely we do invest on training. I think fairly consistent with what Sudarshana told. But the way we do it, I think some of the parts of the organization I feel are a bit traditional. Can we do it differently? Yes, there is a possibility. But I think there is an underlying fact that all organizations want to invest on people and train. I think retention is the second problem. First is let's have trained people into the organization. I believe we are doing, but there is scope for more.
Vikram, last word.
So the core belief has been exactly which was touched by Kiran. Ownership obviously should be in the person whenever they have to learn. Even in the same class, you every student learns in a different way actually, while the impartation may be happening. So one, democratization of skills is the first thing which the organization has to look at. And second is a consumption from in terms of people. So we built actually around in 2021 a Netflix of learning kind of a app where people can pick and choose what they wanted to learn, and we didn't tie up internally with the core IP trainings of the organization. We tied up even with the open source courses, even with the TED, which was very different actually, even with Forbes or something like that, where we said people can pick and choose not only the conduit of learning, but even the content of learning. But in the end, there, the second thing is what we said is learning is just on that score principle only 10%. What you will try to do them in a particular course or something. The second thing is 70% is in terms of the experience. So what we did was, as an organization, we took a big bet on project economies, where we said any individual can opt for a project in a different department, not only theirs, their own department. Anyways, the leaders will automatically take care for themselves. You can opt for any other department, and if with the team who has opted to do some of those things, if they do well, you and it has contributed, as they say, either a dollar saved or a dollar earned. We say a rupee earned or a rupee saved in a certain way, you will get a part of it. So not only is the training is tied up with, if you do well for yourself and you contribute equally as a very different experience, you grow your skills. If you do well, organization also gives you something actually. It changes a lot of paradigms of how learning is actually looked upon, because it is more than a manager then to look at. And the time, you won't believe, which people say, I am tied up till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the night, I don't have time for a training, or even the managers tell them not to do it. These people find time for meeting themselves and actually doing things which contributes to the organization, both in the annual or in the long range things, or even in the short term projects, which may be just 1 month to 3 months. You also get a workforce which is more productive, lesser cost in a certain way, from a a CFO kind of a perspective, because HR also has to fight a lot of times. Is actually the finance guys sitting across, who may be obviously looking at training as one bit of it, the ROI on that. So you build your ROI so smart, rightfully, by the people actually doing it, then the other people automatically come back saying, why not build this up even more actually, and the training goes on and on.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, any questions from any of the students? Students asking the good questions may impress the recruiters.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My question is for Uma, ma'am, because whenever as students we think about EHRs, maybe a greedy perspective, we think about placements only. But when we think about technology, the aim can be that we want to reduce the workforce. So how do we tackle that? So as students, how do we look at that?
The focus of technology actually is not necessarily to reduce the workforce. is to reduce the roteness in the work that we all do. Like the people who are talking about distribution, people who are talking about underwriting, where there's probably centuries of accumulated knowledge in people's minds. And if that's actually become very table stakes, that is, that can actually be driven in form of a rule, can we take that out so that your job becomes a lot more richer? Today, that's been our focus in terms of basically making sure that we externalize your implicit knowledge, put them in a system, so that you can really truly work on those specialized cases, things that are truly not your common ones, but your outlier kind of cases. So the focus is on actually enriching the jobs rather than reducing the workforce. And just to give you an example, in our households, and when we were growing up, probably a lot of the work that we did was manual. Today, a lot of that is automated with a lot of your home appliances. So people get time to do something more. Now, whether you use it to browse Netflix and Amazon, as somebody said, and buying unnecessary things, or you actually use it for your own learning, is up to it. But technology per se can only enrich our lives. That's how we all in technology would like to be.
Thank you.
Thank you. The last question.
Hello, my question is for Sudakshana ma'am. Ma'am, you had mentioned something about missing middle. Can you please elaborate on that?
So in the insurance consumer market, there is the scheme by the government which is called Ayushman Bharat, which takes care of people who are below the poverty line. The government sponsors their insurance. And then there are, of course, the aware customers, especially in the vertical cities, who are today giving a share of their wallet towards health insurance and other insurances. But there is this huge market, which I think is about 40 crore of Indian population, which is neither covered through Ayushman Bharat, nor do they have the awareness that insurance products are required and that can give them the necessary financial security net. And this is where a lot of private companies, especially in the health insurance space, the companies are creating products to suit that. It's still emerging, but that is where the next wave of insurance growth is likely to come from. So if I have been able to answer.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And I'm certain that all of you who are going to choose general insurance companies as your employer will play a big role in shaping that part of the country and that part of the country's future.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Questions by Srinivasan sir. We are really having very small questions here and there. But then yes, my it's not a question per se, but Kiran ma'am said something about hit the ground running. So where is the gap? Is it on our behalf, or is it the curriculum that we are going through? Why aren't we ready to just hit the ground running when we are recruited or something like that?
I think you guys will hit the ground running because you're getting trained for it. So you don't have to worry, on that for your first job. But for your future growth is what I meant, that a new company who's hiring you will look at multiple candidates. And you have to have multiple skills, not just, your role thing, but multiple skills to shine among all the candidates, right? Because the new company is now paying for just the skill that they want. And they will have people from 15 companies to choose from. And if you want that job, you should have something extra, so you should be able to convince them that not only are you technically sound, but you are a good communicator, a good collaborator, a hard worker, you understand analytics, and you'll be able to, get things done. So a company, so it's not about the first job, it's the second job where to get to hit the ground running, you have to have multiple skills.
Thank you, ma'am.
So keep grooming yourself is what I meant. Campus will get you the first job. After that is where the race really starts. You have to keep grooming yourself, keep investing in yourself. And I love the last word that, the keynote speaker had said, stay fit. While I'm not the right example to say it, but let me tell you, it's very, very important.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I thank our moderator and panelists for such an engaging discussion. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the experts for sharing their valuable insights and enriching the session. I now invite my colleagues to come forward and present a token of appreciation to our esteemed panel. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
We will now take a short break of 15 minutes